Welcome to another episode of Third Eye on the Prize, a poetic space for consciousness seekers. Two stories on NPR recently caught my attention, both about freedom of speech, something I think we all care deeply about, but specifically the freedom of artists not to be censored in the United States of America in 2025 by repressive government forces. That's supposed to only happen in other countries, right? Except it's happening right here and now. You already know about the Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert stuff, but there are a couple of other stories you might not be aware of that I want to talk about in this episode. Before I do that, I just want to add the right of school teachers to be honest with their students, especially in history and social studies class, is very much related to this censorship of artists and comedians. Why do so many students hate social studies? Think back to your own experience. Because it's a lot of watered-down BS. And as all parents know, kids have great BS radar. If they were told the truth about what happened in our collective past, in all its ugliness and glory, I believe they'd be on the edge of their seats, riveted. They might actually get excited about social studies and history instead of feeling like, why are they making us do this? It's dead to them when it's taught without the light and the power of truth and openness to discussion and debate. Okay, enough on my rant. So let's get on to these two stories. The first one's about a photographer named Sally Mann who lives in Lexington, Virginia. Her photographs are displayed in museums and galleries all over the world. Earlier this year, in January of 2025, 4 of her photographs were seized by police off the walls of the Modern Art Museum in Fort Worth, Texas. These photos were part of a series she did in 1992 called Immediate Family, featuring her now adult children when they were toddlers. In some of the photos, the children are naked, in both natural and indoor settings. You can judge for yourself, but I think they are beautiful images, celebrations of unself-conscious innocence and the human body in communion with nature. But a conservative Christian group got all up in arms over the nudity and demanded the removal of these photos, calling them child pornography. It's absurd. But lying and calling it pornography was the only way they could legally remove those pictures. And that's infringing on our right to view art and be enriched and deepened by it. I don't know about you, but I'm incensed by that. And lying is Donald Trump's main strategy in trying to circumvent the Constitution and legitimate laws he doesn't like. I have to agree with this photographer when she says we're in a new era of culture wars. She predicts, quote, more attacks by people who don't understand the art they're vilifying, but do understand it's powerful, unquote. The best art always holds up a mirror of the times in which it's created. And this is why it's suppressed by those in power who don't want us to see things as they are. The second story is about satirical statues that have been popping up in D.C. and other cities. And you may have heard about this. One showed Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein holding hands like giddy dancing BFFs. Another showed a pile of feces on a desk, satirizing what had happened on January 6th. Another was a golden fist giving a thumbs-up sign on top of the Statue of Liberty's head, which had a huge crack down the middle of her face and a broken crown. Similar statues appeared in Philadelphia, Portland, Oregon, even Thailand, where there was a satirical Mount Rushmore with the heads of Trump, Putin, and presidents of China and North Korea. I don't know about the one in Thailand, but the ones in this country were quickly removed. Not surprising. And a false claim made that they had violated the terms of their permit. Not true. So there's an anonymous activist group called the Secret Handshake, responsible for at least some of these statues. Interesting and smart of them to be anonymous. So this regressive stuff that's happening, removing works of art from museum walls, canceling hugely popular TV shows, defunding public media, expunging exhibits about the brutalities of slavery. All things the madman in chief and his lackeys are doing. Authenticity offends his ego. It flies in the face of this vitriolic anti-woke crusade. These people who are so threatened by the ways the world has changed desperately want to silence us. But I don't think it's going to work. Regressive just means going backwards. Progressive, forward, regressive, backward. Look it up in your Merriam-Webster. How about this? Instead of being triggered by right, left, red, blue, liberal, conservative polarities and dualities, we ask, do I want to go forward or backward? If, as a species, we are hopefully trying to move from being more asleep to being more awake, why would we want to go back to sleep? The only one who benefits from that is ego, individual, collective ego, which thrives on darkness and denial and ignorance. Consciousness is light. Being conscious means being one with light and truth and love. So our main job is to be conscious as much as we can, as much of the time as possible. Secondly, don't believe the lies. And third, be loving to self and all sentient beings. Thank you for listening. If something in this episode spoke to you, please subscribe and tell your friends. And I'd love to hear any comments or suggestions for future topics. Until next time, keep your third eye on the prize and remember, truth is beyond belief.